Welcome back. It's been a pleasure being in your company for the past hour or so, and just a few more things to discuss, Jerry. You know, you beat me up on that Sammy thing, and now I'm saying go Sammy, go Sammy, go Sammy. Yes, of course, Sammy. We're very proud of you as well, Johnson Charles and Gary Mathre, who made it on the teams. We took some stick, yes, but that happens. The best of them. Look at Johnson Charles. He was hitting Brett Lee, one of the best bowlers in the world right now. He was hitting him all over the place, hitting him for 6s and 4s in that second T20 that we won, incidentally. So,
St. Lucia, this is your time.
yeah.
St. Lucia, this is
So,
your
you know,
time.
let's cement our position in there, cement our place, and let us show them, you know, what we are, what we're made of. Yeah. Going on to other things, Jerry. Calix George on Black Sigatoka. Very, very interesting. He says that the current plan is a waste of money. The government announced some time ago that it's going to inject $12 million to treat that disease, that fungal disease that has just wiped out and decimated our banana industry. And he said that the approach to treating the Black Sigatoka is a waste of money. I found it very interesting.
Interesting because?
On very many fronts, not least of all that he is the last agriculture minister under the SLP administration, and that he is so entrenched in the party, you know, and it is his party in power, and he's coming out and making such a statement. Of course, newspapers, they have their taglines to have their newspapers sell. And people
But I think he qualified this, at least according to the story that I read, that I am not looking for a job, you know, and I think sometimes if this is indeed the case, that, you know, I think that national issues can sometimes, you know, has to override our party affiliations. And perhaps for Calix George, this was the case when, you know, it doesn't matter whether I am party. If something seems to be, you know, definitely out of whack, then I need to speak up, and I need to sort of at least alert government that something differently need to be done, because in the long run, you know, we are going to be throwing money at an issue that is not going to bear any kind of, well,
Any fruit, yeah.
to bear
No
any
pun
kind of fruit, no pun intended.
But for me, I mean, yes, Calix George is a party insider. That is where my mind started to wander. He's a party insider. He's not just any ordinary party insider. He's deeply entrenched in the party, and I'm thinking that, you know, with his position and his clout within the party, he could have articulated those views to the party and actually even come up with a solution. He's a farmer. He's an agronomist, and he knows about agriculture and what needs to be done in certain areas. I know that he would not know everything, but he would have some ideas, and I would have imagined that he would have been consulted at some point, being in that position as the minister before and making policy related to agriculture, that he would have been consulted at least to say, okay, we're thinking of doing that. What do you think about it?
Yes, I totally agree with you, but who is to say he didn't mention that to the inner circle of the party?
I'm not in the inner circle.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying maybe the reason why he has taken to a public, you know, a chastisement of the administration is because, hey, you know, I'm offering you my expertise, and perhaps it wasn't listened to. I'm just saying, and perhaps that is the reason why, you know, maybe it now needs to be aired publicly that, you know, more discussion is needed about that particular issue. As I said, a national concern, because, you know, Sigatoka is something that I would imagine when it starts spreading, it's going to eat everything in its path.
Right.
And so rather than get to that point where we find it unrecoverable, it's better to speak out, and then people are now beginning to say, well, okay, we may be upset that it was done in this fashion, but now more people are beginning to see, hey, maybe there's something to what this guy is saying, and perhaps other people need to look at another side of that particular issue.
And the Taiwanese consideration option, it does not sit very well with me. I mean, I was hearing some of the arguments that were being raised, and it's a more robust banana, but at the same time, it does not have the same taste. And I don't know if I'm fully willing to sacrifice the taste just so that I'm saying that we wouldn't have the black sigatoka, or we'll have a strain of banana that is more resistant to black sigatoka. Personally, I think that there are certain things that can be done within agriculture to reduce, if not eliminate, the black sigatoka.
But Clinton, has the government unfolded the full plan as to how it hopes to attack that particular invasive species?
Well, I'm not sure if it's the entire plan, but what the ministry has been saying is that they would go to those abandoned fields, because a lot of banana farmers have just abandoned their fields, and as a result it is spreading. So they will dialogue with those farmers, they'll cut down those fields, they would how they're going to treat it to destroy the fungus and take it from there. And those who are still in production, they will have those same consultations with them. They will go on the fields with them, destroy those plants which are infected, and have them to replant. So this is part of where the $12 million would be going. Of course, you need the chemicals, the pesticides, and everything else that would prevent the fungus from spreading, and also to contain or eliminate the fungus.
So what is his plan? What is his plan? College George's plan.
I'm not sure exactly what his plan was, but I would imagine that he's saying that this approach would not be the most
it does say here, number one, there are different types of spores, and you have to treat them differently. For instance, there are certain plants that would have specific spores on the dry leaf. You have to go into the field and remove those dry leaves and burn them so that the spores cannot affect other plants nearby. The third thing you have to do is drainage, so you can reduce the relative humidity of the field so that the other type of spores, which are the well, he gives the scientific name there, do not have the prime conditions for disease development.
You see, as I was saying, he's an agronomist, so he knows these things.
Right.
And it would be interesting that it would be interesting if he were not consulted on that particular issue. And I think this is
I think all he's saying here is there's room for me at the table, and I could offer something that you may not have thought about, and it's time for us to sit down and work it out for, the benefit of everyone.
And I hope to speak with him next week. I'm going into our last segment where we preview some of the stories. I hope to speak with him next week to see exactly what his plan is, and whether, there is a way that he can interface with the Ministry of Agriculture.
It will be interesting to get an idea as to what the reception of his plan is by the Ministry of Agriculture.
I know the Agriculture Minister very well, and I know that he's one who is not carrying a huge ego. So he is, from my interaction with him so far, is very receptive to different ideas. So, and this is why this particular story or issue is puzzling me so much, that, whether it was brought up and it was refused, or whether it was never brought up, but he sees what has been planned, and he's like, okay, this is just way off, so let me just go there and express how I feel about it.
And isn't it of interest to you as to where the story appeared?
Well, as they would say, that's for another show. That's for another show. But yeah, I hope to follow up on that next week. And going from agriculture to the former, you see, I'm trying to escape this one, to the other, the former Agriculture Minister Ezekiel Joseph and Leonard Montoute, Spider Montoute. They were back in court last week. They were there for case management. Many of the stations, many of the media missed it, but we at DBS got it. And they had this hearing late on Friday. It went very late, probably like 6 o'clock, or after 6, that's when they were done. I'm not sure exactly what the details are of that hearing, but I'm sure a lot of it will be emerging in the next week. You know that some of the challenge, or part of the challenge, had been sent to the appeals court.
Right, yeah.
You know, so it's a very complicated process. And of course, for those of you not too au fait with what we're discussing here, it is the legal challenge of the election results in Babonneau and Grosley by Ezekiel Joseph and Leonard Spider Montoute, respectively. They are saying that there were some irregularities in the process that may have caused them to lose the elections. Ezekiel lost to Alvina Reynolds by 2 votes, and Spider lost to Emma Hippolyte by 7 votes in Grosley. And with that margin and being incumbents, I am sure that that would have stung a little harder. The sting from the burn from that sting would have been a little more painful than any, you know, ordinary sting. If it had lost by 1,000 or 500 or 200 votes, it would be okay. Well, we lost it.
But on the surface, it seems like a futile exercise, at least to me.